I was thinking about what you were saying about love and how, because that's a conversation or a kind of exploration that I have in my life at the moment, because a lot of what I've been taught about love has to do with romantic love, or it has to do with a love that has the word should attached to it, which is that you should love your parents, or you should love your family, or you should love XYZ person in a certain way. And I quite enjoy the idea that love could be expansive, and it could be about just human beings meeting human beings with love, or beings of any kind meeting beings of any other kind in love. And I was very moved by that. That was what was arising
Yes,
for me.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think here is how I see it. It's a connection with and manifestation of the essence which we are and meant to be.
Mm.
So it has nothing almost personal to it, right? It's basically a quality of connection to life,
Yeah.
to that essence. And then when we are connected to that, the next thing that happens is that we want to serve, we want to give, we want to enrich it, we want to participate in the flow of giving and receiving, where the giving is the receiving. That kind of love, yes?
Yeah. And I guess that also ties in with the theme of what you'll be sharing with us in Living Bridges, which is around the spirituality of NVC. And I mean, you're already kind of talking about it, but I'm wondering if you'd like to expand on that in a more specific kind of way. What does that mean to you?
Yes, yes. So, you know, Rumi has this quote, and I use this quote a lot because I've been gathering all these quotes all these years, because as Marshall says, you know, this teaching or this body of work is as ancient as the sun. It's nothing new. And Gandhi said that too. He says as old as the hills. So so we had, you know, throughout history, many beings, human beings, who've been speaking about the same thing in all kind of ways. So Rumi is one of my favorites. And he says, there is a life force within your soul. Seek that life. There is a gem in the mountain of your body. Seek that mine. So this seeking inwardly is what we're going to focus on this 2-hour class, which is, for me, is like the foundational practice of this work, is how to reclaim life within us first, yes, and form that connection through needs, yes.
Yeah.
And I think I see it as the work of transformation, because we are taking this raw material of, I don't know, thoughts, judgments, analysis, comparisons, criticism, and we are turning it into gold using what's in the thoughts, you know, using it as an enter door into the soul. And that's another thing that I love about NVC, is that differently from other practices where I was told, you know, to just basically ask, you know, like you say, you know, love myself. Yeah. Well, I've been shooting myself to love myself, and it hasn't happened for years.
Yeah.
So this practice connects the dots of you take the thought, because you can track the thought more easily, and you, through the information that the wild thinking contains, we can transform it into a gem and enter the heart. And through the heart, I would say enter the soul, because I see that there are layers in that connection. You can connect at different levels. And I think Marshall said that needs, you know, it was an easy enter point, because we all share the same needs, we all share the same feelings. But I see that there are layers of it, because at the beginning, it's like, oh, the list of all these needs. And it can be a little bit also a concept. Yeah. And if we deepen, then we see, you know, there are clusters. clusters of needs, and each of them have like a similar, each cluster has a similar flavor.
Yeah.
Like, you know, freedom, truth, and choice have the same kind of fabric. And then we have love and connection and community, and then we have purpose and meaning.
Yeah.
And then there is another layer even underneath that, where I think it becomes more and more an energy, a life essence energy, and less of an intellectual thing, where we just connect with our longings and yearnings, which I would say at the bottom of it, there is just one thing, which is wholeness, and a longing to go back home to wholeness. And that's what we're gonna attempt to do on the class.
Yeah.
It's gonna be just a taste to just talk a little bit about that and practice.
Yeah, like a taste of wholeness, or a taste of what it could be like to go home to that wholeness, and something practical to take us home. What can one really do? Yeah.
And then after we form this connection, to go back in the world and respond to what is in front of us from that connection, because that's another very important piece.
Yeah.
We were given conscious choice. We were given the power to participate in co-creating the world, because our choices impact what's going to happen. And so when we are not participating in this conscious way, we are kind of out of integrity with our mission. And so it doesn't stop like other practices that I know that they kind of say, you just work on yourself and you become enlightened, and then you sit in a cave or wherever, and you just radiate this beautiful energy. No, it's very like active participation in the world. Asking myself, now that I've connected with my longing, what is it that I want to do or say to embody it?
Yeah. And also maybe that when I meet the other person from that place of wholeness inside me, I also know that somewhere they have the same space inside them. So if I can really meet them from that point of view, be open to what is within them as really deeply human, that in itself is a spiritual practice. Like, it's a practical spiritual practice.
Right. Yes, so you're touching to another piece, which is interdependence, right? And the fact that the Eckhart Tolle, I like a quote from him. He says, "Love your neighbor as thyself" means that your neighbor is yourself. And this recognition of oneness is love. And Marshall says it in other words. He says that the ability to recognize, that the well-being of others and our well-being is actually one and the same. And we see it very well with this pandemic, right? It's kind of exposing interdependence big time.
Yeah.
And so that recognition that the life within me and the life within others is one and the same, and sacred in the same way. Yes.
Yeah.